Today's video is sponsored by Nobility.co.uk, the leading company in selling legal titles in the United Kingdom. Get a 10% discount in any purchase by mentioning Death Row. Iran has hanged many people in the past. Many executions have been carried out in public in an apparent bid to create a climate of intimidation, while sending out uncompromising signals to the West. Public hangings are normally carried out sparingly in Iran and reserved for cases that have provoked public outrage, such as serial murders or child killings. A rare occasion of seeing family members executed on the same day. But the case of Majid Kavousifar and Hossein Kavousifar were both publicly executed by hanging in Tehran in August 2007. Majid Kavousifar and uncle to Hossein Kavousifar, the two were accused of killing a judge, Masoud Moghadassi. Masoud was one of several judges of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Court that collectively sentenced more than 2,800 to 3,800 political prisoners to execution during the 1988 executions of Iranian political prisoners. The mass executions were largely thought to be a political purge, with Operation Mersad preceding the executions. Judge Moghadassi also presided over the trials of Iranian political dissidents, such as Akbar Ganji. As Judge Moghadassi was leaving a court building in Tehran on the 2nd of August 2005, an assailant on a motorcycle shot the judge twice with a pistol, killing him. That assailant was subsequently identified as Majid Kavousifar. Majid Kavousifar, his birth year was not confirmed. While some say he was born in 1978, others mentioned 1979. Nonetheless, he escaped out of Iran after murdering Judge Moghadassi. Majid Kavousifar escaped from Iran to United Arab Emirates. While in Dubai, he went to the United States Embassy to apply for refugee status. Instead, the embassy surrendered him to Emirati police, and the UAE extradited Kavousifar to Iran in 2006, because he was not a political prisoner but a murderer. His extradition from United Arab Emirates to Iran, Majid Kavousifar confessed to the Iran's Ministry of Intelligence. They interrogated the Kavousifars. The authorities determined that the duo murdered Judge Moghadassi because of personal motivations, and not for political reasons. Majid confessed to the murder of Judge Moghadassi after 3 hours of interrogation. Some source says the confession was out of duress, that they were tortured to talk. Their trial was before Branch 15 of the Revolutionary Court in Tehran. Again in court, Majid testified to killing Judge Moghadassi. Majid Kavousifar says his motive was because the judge had wrongly convicted him of alcohol possession, which according to him was false accusations. Alcohol possession is a crime under Iran's version of Islamic law. Iran enforces stringent rules regarding alcohol. The nation's penal code clearly states that possessing, producing, or selling alcoholic beverages leads to severe consequences. Offenders might face hefty fines, jail time, and in extreme cases, even corporal punishment. During that trial, Judge Moghadassi, the victim, sentenced Majid to be whipped, but subsequently reduced his punishment to a cash fine. Because of this experience, Majid concluded that Judge Moghadassi was a corrupt and unjust judge, and retaliated by killing him. After Majid Kavousifar paid the fine, the anger of paying it was still within him, and he decided to ease that anger by killing the judge Masoud Moghadassi. The trial of Majid Kavousifar and Hossein Kavousifar took few time. On the 4th of March 2007, the Revolutionary Court found Majid and Hossein Kavousifar guilty of spreading corruption of the earth. Al-Mufsid fi al-Ard, also Fasid fi al-Ard, which is an Arabic word meaning corrupt on earth, is the title of capital crimes. or the person guilty of them, in Iran, which has been translated in English language sources variously as spreading corruption on earth, spreading corruption that threatens social and political well-being, corrupt of the earth. One who is charged with spreading corruption, gross offenders of the moral order and enemies of God on earth. According to at least one source, Mof's defilers was first introduced as a crime in Iran by Ayatollah Khomeini. It was used by Islamic Republican judicial authorities in the early days of the Iranian Revolution, resulting in many imprisonments and executions. Possibly more than 8,000 people suffered that fate, ranging from former members of the Shah's government, leaders of opposition or terrorist groups, or simply opponents of the regime. It was used against leaders of the Baha'i faith on a number of occasions. And in February 2011 a large majority of members of the Iranian parliament called for the prosecution and execution of Iranian opposition leaders Mehdi Karoubi and Mir Hossein Mousavi on the charge of Mof's defilers. Majid Kavousifar and Hossein Kavousifar were charged with the murders of Judge Moghadassi and the other two individuals, armed robbery, illegal possession of firearms, and other crimes, and sentenced them to the death penalty. In addition, the court sentenced Majid to a whipping of 74 lashes and a fine of 1 million tomans for illegal drug use. Their sentence was to be carried out by hanging. Hanging is the only common method of execution in 21st century Iran, usually carried out in prison. Compared to other countries that use hanging, such as Japan or Malaysia, with a complex gallows designed to drop the condemned and break the neck, Iran's gallows are very simple and inexpensive. They consist only of a frame and a stool, with some stools able to hold up to 7 people at a time and having wheels. Public executions are usually carried out by a mobile crane. Sometimes, the victim is suspended from the crane, but more often, the crane is used as a gallows, and the person is pulled off a stool. The person is usually blindfolded. Iranian nooses are thick, with 7 to 10 knotted coils, and are often made of blue plastic rope with little to no drop. Death is caused by strangulation and carotid reflex, where blood vessels to the head are cut off, taking 10 to 20 minutes, causing visible pain and distress to the condemned. On the 2nd of August 2007, Majid and Hossein were both hanged in public, in front of the Irshad Judiciary Complex in central Tehran. By the time, the Kavousifars' hangings were the first public executions carried out in Tehran in 5 years. Majid Kavousifar and Hossein Kavousifar were hanged from ropes attached to 5-meter-long cranes. However, both men were placed atop stools, which were pulled from under their feet at the moment of their execution. Majid appeared to die instantly, while Hossein struggled for a few moments before going limp. After several minutes, their bodies were removed and placed into an ambulance. Majid gestured and smiled at the crowd that came to watch him die, as waving one hand from his handcuffs at his co-conspirator at the watching crowds and making a show of puffing out his chest, grinning at the crowds and even chatting to the burly black-clad executioner, in an apparent final check of the execution procedure. Majid Kavousifar showed no remorse to Iranian police officers in his last words, telling them, "I reached the point at which I decided to eradicate any injustice." After their execution, their bodies were handed to their family for burial. Thank you for watching Death Row.